So the crossface is the most effective way of us applying force into our opponent's chin in order to break their posture, but there's many other ways that we can do this. So this video is just going to be going over a whole variety of different ways that we can look to break our opponent's posture in order to create vulnerability. If I've gotten past the structure, I have a clear line to the head. So we have the crossface as we talked about. Anything that I can, there's two ways of looking at this. I can turn my opponent's head away from me, which is usually the most effective because it's going to get our opponent to start turning their hips away. If I have Kevin looking this direction and he manages to try and like get his shin in here to re-guard, he's pointing his hips to his right while he's looking to his left. His posture is broken at his neck as well as down at the spine and the hips at his torso, where now he's created this bend here, a twist throughout the whole spine, so his body can't act within a kinetic chain, and he's going to be a fraction as strong as he normally is. Also, if I can get the body to follow the head, then I start getting my opponent turned away from me, and I start getting behind my opponent, which is the best place that we can be when fighting somebody. So the first ones that we're going to look at is just turning our opponent's head away from us. In the gi, I can grab the collar, and I can start dropping my forearm onto his neck. I can open my elbow slightly if I need to. I can absolutely just try and choke him here, but I'm not going to be getting the same response of breaking his posture. He'll have to respect this and he'll bring his arms in to defend, in which case I'm creating a reaction in which I can now start to look to affect structure. But that's a whole other strategy in itself. Here, using the chin as a lever to the spine, so I can turn Kevin away. I can also use just my hands if I needed to. I can create the same grip here on this collar and punch with my knuckles. I can even just use the palm of my hand or my knuckles if I need to. It's going to be less effective because I don't have a fixed point, so it's going to be easier for Kevin to use his arms to redirect me off to the side, or even circle his chin in and look to redirect my arm. One of my favorites is using my head as a frame. So we're keeping our neck straight so that's reinforced with the rest of our spine to our hips. And if I was with an underhook here completing a pass, that Pez dispenser that Rob has talked about in some of his instructionals in like the BJJ formula, dropping my head and using it to access Kevin's chin once again as a lever, open him up like those candy Pez dispensers here, and then also using it to turn him away. I can do the same thing and turn him in, but there's less reason for me to want to do that because if Kevin realigns himself by turning his whole body in, he's now facing all his weapons towards me and he's going to have many more layers of defense. So, like say if I was just completing a knee cut pass, I'm dropping my head, Pez dispenser, open him up, turn him away. It's going to help me break his posture this whole time as I'm completing that pass and solidifying side control. If I end up getting into like more of a twisted side control, whether his arm's in or not, then I can start looking at ways to use my ribs or my hips to break his posture to turn him away. So rather than just sitting here on his shoulder, I'm going to hip up, and I'm going to drop my ribs, just like we would in the north-south position. Bringing my ribs into Kevin's jaw, turning him away, so that now if Kevin tried to turn into me, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be easier for me to start getting him turned away to expose his back. Another way that we can break our opponent's posture, there's multiple planes of direction that we can go. We can bend forward and backwards to the sides, and we can twist. We've been talking a lot about the twisting. Show some of the other planes. If I was, say, like a knee ride position, grabbing the back of Kevin's head similar to a clinch and pulling upwards, I'm going to be breaking posture. I can break his posture by bowing him at the neck here by just grabbing the head here up by the ear and closing my elbow. I can do the same thing on this side. If I'm able to win this underhook and successfully open up his elbow like we talked about in the earlier videos, grabbing his head as a fixed point to control this lever, we can see how now I can open up Kevin's elbow here at the same time as breaking his posture, so that if he tries to close his elbow right now, it's gonna be very difficult too. I can reinforce it on the same side here, and this is the kind of stuff that I like using to be able to start setting up a triangle while keeping multiple levels of control as I transition through that movement rather than just trying to jump to the other side. I can also bring this elbow over top if we're in this kind of standard position where we're starting to attack the arm, we're not in that crossface. By just bringing my elbow and closing it to my body, I'm gonna be creating a stronger structure for myself at the same time as accessing Kevin's head as a lever to bend his spine. I'm not closing the elbow here into the side of his neck, because if Kevin keeps his neck nice and strong, this isn't the lever. Nothing wrong with this control. It allows me to isolate the shoulder, but it's what is your goal? If right now I'm looking at transitioning through movements, or for me, Kevin's stronger than me, so if I'm trying to isolate his arm for a Kimura, this is gonna be difficult if he's strong. I can make him weaker if I break his posture first. I can also break his posture by bringing the shin over top. Depending on what level you are at your gym and how your gym feels about this kind of stuff like dropping your shin across your opponent's face, you want to be very careful, one, that you're not doing it with a lot of force, because it's very easy for me to just drop my body weight into that and accidentally hurt Kevin significantly. And as well as just being seen as an asshole for using a technique where I think it's absolutely legitimate and it's your partner's job on the bottom to understand how to defend that stuff, rather than just complain that I'm dropping my shin and saying that that's not allowed. But if you're a white belt at a gym, or if you're visiting a new gym for the first time, be careful about things like just dropping your shin on your opponent's head. But I can absolutely, from here, if I'm looking to isolate this arm and I need to compromise my opponent's alignment further, dropping my shin across here to break that alignment is going to allow me to further break structure so I can start setting up any kind of further attacks that I wish.